Every pilot knows one rule: check your equipment before you speak. Captain Daniel Cooper forgot that rule. And today, on Flight 678 at 33,000 feet, he's about to learn it in the most humiliating way possible because the flight attendant he's threatening in the cockpit. The entire cabin can hear him, every word, every insult, every threat. 180 passengers, recording, documenting, already posting to social media. He thinks he's having a private confrontation. He's actually broadcasting his career suicide. Live. It's 11:23 a.m. Sydney Kingsford Smith International Airport, Gate 42. The Airbus A320 registration VH-VQP sits at the gate, its engines silent, catering trucks just finishing final service. Flight 678 to Auckland, 3 hours and 10 minutes of flying time, 180 passengers. The late morning sun beats down on the tarmac. Inside the terminal, travelers line up for boarding, passports ready, excited for New Zealand. It's a routine midweek flight across the Tasman Sea, the kind that happens twice daily, the kind where nothing dramatic should occur, but something dramatic is about to occur, something that will be recorded by 47 passengers, something that will go viral within 3 hours, something that will end a career before the plane even lands. Captain Daniel Cooper walks through the gate area like he owns it. 48 years old, 6'2", solid build going slightly soft around the middle. His captain's uniform is clean but not immaculate. 4 gold stripes fading slightly. A Tag Heuer watch that's seen better days. His rolling bag has scuff marks. Everything about him suggests a man who's been doing this job long enough to stop caring about impressions. He's been flying for 26 years, started as a regional pilot in Queensland, worked his way up, made captain at 39, 9 years in command. His record shows competent flying skills and adequate performance. What it also shows, buried in crew feedback forms, are recurring complaints about communication style, abrasive with crew, dismissive of concerns, short temper but nothing actionable, just a pattern of being difficult to work with. Daniel doesn't care what crew think of him, he's the captain, he makes the decisions. Crew exists to follow his orders and keep passengers happy, that's the hierarchy. That's how it works. If crew don't like his style, they can request different flights. Simple, he boards the aircraft through the jet bridge, doesn't greet the gate agent, doesn't acknowledge the ground crew, just walks straight to the cockpit. His first officer, a capable young man named James from Brisbane, is already running the pre-flight setup. Daniel drops into the left seat without a word, pulls out his phone, checks messages, puts it away, starts his checks. James attempts small talk, asks about the weather in Auckland. Daniel grunts a response, tells James to focus on the checklist. They're running late already. No time for chit-chat. James goes quiet. He's flown with Daniel 4 times, knows the routine. Stay silent, do your job, don't engage. It's easier that way. Senior flight attendant Isla Bennett has worked for this airline for 12 years. She's 38 years old, 5'7", auburn hair pulled into a perfect bun. Her uniform is impeccable, every detail precise. 2 service pins on her collar, 1 for 10 years, 1 for crew excellence. But it's not the pins that define Isla, it's her professionalism. 12 years without a single passenger complaint, 12 years of consistent excellence ratings. She knows the operations manual forward and backward, knows every procedure, every regulation, every protocol. When other flight attendants have questions, they ask Isla. She's conducting her pre-flight cabin check with systematic precision, emergency equipment verified, galley supplies confirmed, lavatories stocked, passenger manifest reviewed, everything exactly as it should be. The 2 junior flight attendants working with her, Sophie and Marcus, watch her with a mix of admiration and slight intimidation. She sets a high standard. Isla notices everything. The way the overhead bins don't quite close flush in row 14, the slight coffee stain on seat 8A that cleaning missed, The loose carpet edge near the aft galley. She documents each item on her tablet, not to complain, to ensure safety and quality. Details matter in aviation. She's worked with Daniel Cooper 6 times over the past year, knows his reputation, knows he's difficult, knows he doesn't like being questioned. But Isla also knows her job isn't to make captains comfortable. Her job is passenger safety, and when safety concerns arise, she reports them, regardless of who likes it. 30 minutes before departure, during final boarding, Isla conducts her standard crew briefing in the forward galley, reviews emergency procedures with Sophie and Marcus, assigns positions for takeoff, discusses any special passenger needs. There's an elderly couple in row 23 requiring wheelchair assistance on arrival, a family with an infant in row 11, nothing unusual. Then she mentioned something James told her during the crew introduction. The cockpit intercom system was acting up on the previous flight, sometimes staying active when it should disconnect. Maintenance checked it but couldn't replicate the issue, logged it as intermittent. James asked her to be aware in case it happens again. Isla makes a note. Intermittent intercom issues, she'll monitor it. If she needs to contact the cockpit, she'll verify the connection properly closes after each use. Boarding completes. 180 passengers settled. The usual mix: business travelers in the front, families with children scattered throughout, a group of university students in rows 15 to 18 heading to Auckland for a rugby tournament, already loud and energetic. Seat 3A, a woman in her 50s who immediately pulls out her laptop. Seat 9. C, a man who looks exhausted and falls asleep before pushback. At 11:52 a.m., all doors close. The A320 pushes back from gate 42. Daniel runs through the taxi checklist. James responds to each item, mechanical, efficient, no conversation beyond necessary communication. The aircraft taxis toward runway 34L. Sydney Tower clears them for takeoff. Daniel advances the throttles. The A320 accelerates, rotate, climb, gear up. The aircraft lifts off Sydney's runway 34L at 12:04 p.m. Flight 678 is airborne. 15 minutes into the climb, Isla notices something. The forward galley coffee maker isn't heating properly. The temperature gauge shows it's not reaching brewing temperature. Not an emergency, not even a significant problem, but it means they can't serve hot coffee during the flight. 180 passengers and half of them will want coffee after the seatbelt sign goes off. She needs to inform the cockpit, standard procedure. Let them know about equipment issues, they log it for maintenance. She picks up the intercom handset, presses the cockpit call button, waits for response. Daniel's voice comes through, irritated already, asks what she wants. They're busy. Isla reports professionally. Forward galley coffee maker malfunction, not heating. Will need to log for maintenance in Auckland. No safety impact, but passengers will be informed coffee service is unavailable. There's a pause. Then Daniel's response is sharp. Tells her that's not a cockpit issue. That's a cabin issue. She handles it. Don't bother him with galley problems. They're flying a plane. Isla maintains her professional tone, explains that equipment failures require cockpit notification per Operations Manual section 7.4. She's following protocol. Daniel's voice rises. His exact words, "I don't need a manual quoted at me. Handle your cabin. Stop wasting my time." The intercom clicks. He's hung up. Isla hangs up her handset. Sophie and Marcus exchange glances. They heard his tone. Isla's face remains neutral, but she's processing. That was unnecessarily hostile for a routine report. She opens her tablet, documents the interaction, time, issue reported, captain's response, protocol followed. In the cockpit, Daniel is already focused back on flying. James heard the exchange, says nothing. He learned early not to comment on Daniel's crew interactions. But what neither Daniel nor James notice is the small indicator light on the intercom panel, the one that shows when the PA system is active. The one that should be off, it's on. The intercom handset disconnected on Isla's end, but the cockpit side didn't disconnect properly. The intermittent fault James mentioned, the maintenance issue that couldn't be replicated, it just replicated. The cockpit intercom is still active, broadcasting to the entire cabin. Every word spoken in the cockpit is now being transmitted through every speaker in the passenger cabin, and nobody in the cockpit knows. What Captain Daniel Cooper doesn't know. What he can't know because he never double-checks his equipment, never verifies his switches, never pays attention to warning lights, is that his cockpit is no longer private. That intercom fault isn't just a minor technical issue. It's a direct line from his mouth to 180 pairs of ears. Right now, at 19,000 feet and climbing, the passengers in the cabin can't hear anything yet. The cockpit is relatively quiet, just the sound of switches and instruments, the ambient noise of flight. But in 9 minutes, when Isla calls the cockpit again about a legitimate safety concern, Daniel Cooper is going to lose his temper. He's going to say things he would never say if he knew anyone could hear. He's going to threaten, insult, berate. His exact words, "Stay silent or I'll have you fired. You're worthless." And 180 passengers are going to hear every word. 47 of them will record it on their phones. 12 will post it to social media immediately. 3 will send it to news outlets. 1 is a lawyer who specializes in workplace harassment. Another is the wife of the airline's VP of operations. Daniel Cooper thinks he's in control, thinks his cockpit is his domain, thinks his threats happen in private. He's about to discover how wrong he is. 28 minutes into the flight, the A320 levels off at cruise altitude, 33,000 feet over the Tasman Sea. The seatbelt sign goes off. Passengers unbuckle, stretch. The university students in rows 15 to 18 get loud again, talking about the upcoming rugby match. Business travelers open laptops. The family with the infant in row 11 begins the complicated process of changing a diaper in the lavatory. In the cockpit, Daniel and James settle into cruise routine. Autopilot engaged. Systems nominal. The flight management computer handles navigation, everything running smoothly. Daniel leans back in his seat, pulls out his phone even though regulations technically prohibit it at this altitude. Checks messages, scrolls through news. James monitors instruments silently. He's learned that Daniel's version of crew resource management is I fly, you watch, nobody talks unless necessary. It's not ideal, but it's survivable for 3 hours. In the cabin, Isla begins beverage service. Sophie and Marcus work the aft section. Isla handles forward. Without hot coffee, they're offering cold beverages, juice, water. Most passengers accept the situation without complaint. A few grumble. Isla apologizes professionally each time, explains the equipment malfunction, offers complimentary snacks as compensation. The intercom light in the cockpit remains on, still broadcasting, still unnoticed. 41 minutes into the flight, the aircraft hits turbulence. Not severe, moderate chop, the kind that makes drinks spill and passengers grip armrests. The seatbelt sign illuminates with a chime. Isla immediately suspends beverage service, secures all galley carts, ensures passengers are seated, standard procedure, but then she notices something concerning. The overhead bins in rows 12 through 15 are vibrating from the turbulence, and several aren't fully latched. She saw this during pre-flight. The bins don't close flush. Now with turbulence, they're rattling. One looks like it might pop open. If it does, luggage falls out. Passengers get injured, safety issue. She needs to inform the cockpit, get permission to stand during turbulence to secure the bins. She picks up the intercom, presses the cockpit call button. Daniel answers immediately, his voice already annoyed. They're busy dealing with turbulence. What does she want? Isla reports calmly. Overhead bins in rows 12 to 15 not properly secured. Rattling in turbulence, risk of opening. Request permission to secure them before they pop open. Daniel's response is immediate and hostile. The seatbelt sign is on. She sits down. The bins are fine. They're designed to handle turbulence. She's overreacting. His exact words, "Sit down and stop bothering me." Isla tries again, explains that one bin in row 14 is visibly loose. She can see the latch isn't engaged. It's a legitimate safety concern. Daniel's voice rises sharply, tells her he's not going to argue. The bins are fine. She's being paranoid. If she calls him one more time about non-issues, there will be consequences. His exact words, "I'm the captain. You follow orders. Understood?" Isla responds professionally, says she understands, hangs up. In the cabin, something strange happens. Several passengers in rows 5 through 10 look up at the ceiling speakers, confused expressions. The woman in 3A pauses her typing. The exhausted man in 9C wakes up. They heard something, voices, coming from the PA speakers, faint but definitely voices, male voices, angry tone. The university student in row 16B says to his friend, "Did you hear that? Sounded like the pilot." His friend shrugs. Maybe they're doing announcements? But there's no announcement, just the ambient aircraft noise, and very faintly underneath it the sound of the cockpit, breathing, switch clicks, the rustling of papers. In the cockpit, Daniel goes back to his phone, mutters to James about flight attendants who don't understand chain of command. James says nothing, just monitors the turbulence. It's starting to ease. The intercom light stays on, broadcasting everything. 53 minutes into the flight, the turbulence clears, the seatbelt sign goes off, passengers unbuckle again, and immediately, several people in the forward cabin hear voices again, clearer this time, because Daniel is talking. He's complaining to James about Isla, about flight attendants who think they know better than pilots, about people who can't just do their jobs without questioning everything. His tone is contemptuous, mocking. He does an exaggerated impression of Isla's voice. "Overhead bins aren't secured properly." He laughs bitterly. James responds quietly, something about following procedures. Daniel cuts him off, tells him procedures exist for real emergencies, not for nervous flight attendants seeing problems that don't exist. In seat 3A, the woman with the laptop freezes. She definitely heard that. She looks around, other passengers are looking up too, all staring at the ceiling speakers. The university students are pointing and whispering to each other. The businessman in seat 7D pulls out his phone, opens the recording app, points it at the ceiling speaker, just in case. The woman in seat 12F, who happens to be married to the airline's VP of operations, realizes what's happening. The intercom is stuck open. The cockpit is broadcasting. She heard the captain mocking the flight attendant. She heard his contemptuous tone. Her expression shifts from confused to shocked to angry. She starts recording too. 1 hour and 7 minutes into the flight, Isla finishes the beverage service in the aft cabin, returns to the forward galley. Sophie approaches her quietly, whispers that several passengers just asked her a strange question. They wanted to know if the intercom to the cockpit is open. They said they've been hearing voices. Isla's professional mask cracks slightly. She looks up at the ceiling speaker, listens carefully, hears it, very faint but unmistakable. The ambient sound of the cockpit, the hum of ventilation, and voices. Daniel's voice, still talking to James about something. Her mind races. The intermittent intercom fault. It's not just stuck on the cockpit side. It's broadcasting to the cabin PA system. Everything Daniel says in the cockpit is being heard by passengers, including his comments about her, including his mockery, including his hostility. She needs to tell him. He has no idea passengers can hear him. This is a disaster waiting to happen, or maybe already happening. She picks up the intercom, presses the call button, waits. Daniel answers with pure irritation in his voice, asks what she wants now. His tone makes it clear he's at the end of his patience. Isla speaks carefully, tells him they have an intercom issue. The system appears to be broadcasting to the cabin. Passengers are reporting they can hear cockpit communications. He needs to be aware. There's a pause. Then Daniel's response explodes. His voice rises to a shout, tells her that's impossible. The intercom doesn't work that way. She's making things up, creating drama. He's had enough of her interruptions, her false reports, her constant interference with his command, his exact words, "Stay silent or I'll have you fired. You're worthless. I don't want to hear from you again unless this aircraft is on fire. Do you understand me? Stay out of my cockpit." The words blast through every speaker in the cabin. Crystal clear, unmistakable. 180 passengers hear every syllable. The cabin goes completely silent, every conversation stops, every passenger freezes, heads turned toward the ceiling speakers, eyes wide, mouths open. The university students stare at each other in shock. The businessman in 7D is still recording. His phone captured everything. The woman in 3A has her hands over her mouth. The VP's wife in 12F has gone pale with fury. The elderly couple in row 23 look genuinely frightened. And 47 passengers pull out their phones, start recording, start typing, start posting. In the cockpit, Daniel hangs up the intercom violently, tells James that flight attendant is going to be written up the moment they land. She's insubordinate, creating problems, making up technical issues. He's had crew like this before. They don't last long. James says nothing, but his face has gone pale because he glances at the intercom panel and sees the light, the PA active light, the one that should be off, the one that means the system is broadcasting. His exact words, "Captain, the intercom light, it's still on." Daniel looks, sees the light, doesn't understand the implication at first. Then it hits him. The intercom is active, has been active, broadcasting everything he said, everything he's been saying for the past 40 minutes. His face drains of all color. In the cabin, phones are everywhere, recording, typing, uploading. The businessman in 7D has already posted a 15-second clip to Twitter with the caption, "Captain on Sydney-Auckland flight just threatened to fire flight attendant over PA system. Everyone heard everything. Hashtag aviation shame. Hashtag Qantas." The post goes live at 12:51 p.m. Within 3 minutes, it has 200 retweets. Within 10 minutes, 1,500. Within 20 minutes, it's trending. The VP's wife in 12F sends a text message to her husband. Flight 678, Captain Daniel Cooper, just verbally abused crew over open intercom. Entire cabin heard. Multiple recordings. Call me immediately. The university student in 16B posts a video to Instagram. Caption, "Pilot doesn't know intercom is on, been listening to him trash flight attendant for 30 minutes. This is insane." 900 likes in 5 minutes. In the cockpit, Daniel fumbles with the intercom system, tries to disconnect it properly, flips switches, presses buttons. The light finally goes off. The system disconnects, but it's too late. Far too late. James suggests quietly that they might want to make a PA announcement. Acknowledge what happened, apologize maybe. Daniel's hands are shaking. He knows what just happened, knows 180 passengers heard him, knows they're probably recording, knows his career is over, but his pride won't let him apologize, won't let him admit error. So he says nothing, just stares straight ahead, flies the plane, pretends nothing happened. In the cabin, Isla stands in the forward galley, Sophie and Marcus beside her. They're all processing what just happened. The captain just verbally attacked Isla over the PA system, threatened her job, called her worthless in front of every passenger. The woman in 3A approaches the galley, asks Isla if she's okay, says what the captain said was completely unacceptable, says she recorded it, says she'll gladly be a witness if Isla wants to file a complaint. Then the businessman from 7D comes forward, says the same thing. Then the VP's wife from 12F. Then 3 of the university students. Then a dozen more passengers, all offering support, all saying they recorded it, all saying they'll testify. Isla maintains her professional composure, thanks each of them, tells them she's fine, appreciates their concern. But inside, she's processing. The captain just committed career suicide. And 180 witnesses watched it happen live. 47 recordings exist, already spreading across social media, already being sent to news outlets, already going viral, and they're still 72 minutes from landing. Auckland International Airport, runway 05L. The A320 is 41 minutes out. In the operations center, the airline's crisis management team is already assembled. The VP of operations received his wife's text 23 minutes ago, immediately pulled the flight recorder data access, confirmed the intercom malfunction, confirmed it was broadcasting, started reviewing social media. The videos are everywhere: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, 47 different angles. 47 recordings, all showing the same thing. Captain Daniel Cooper's voice, crystal clear, threatening a flight attendant, calling her worthless, demanding silence, all broadcast accidentally to the entire cabin. The airline's social media team is in crisis mode. The posts are being shared thousands of times per minute. News outlets are picking it up. Qantas, captain caught verbally abusing crew on hot mic, trends across Australia and New Zealand. The PR department drafts statements, legal reviews potential liability. HR prepares termination paperwork because there's no defending this, no spinning it, no explaining it away. 180 witnesses, 47 recordings, and a clear violation of company policy, aviation regulations, and basic human decency. In the cockpit, Daniel flies the approach in complete silence. James handles all radio communications, contacts Auckland approach, requests vectors for runway 05L. The approach controller's voice is professional, but there's an edge to it. Word has spread. Even air traffic control knows what happened on Flight 678. Daniel's hands are steady on the controls, but his mind is racing, calculating. Maybe the recordings aren't clear. Maybe passengers misheard. Maybe he can explain it was a stressful situation. Maybe he can claim the intercom malfunction caused distortion. Maybe he can, his phone buzzes, text from the chief pilot. Do not speak to media. Do not speak to passengers. Report directly to my office upon arrival. You are grounded effective immediately. That's when Daniel knows. It's over, completely over. In the cabin, the atmosphere is strange. Passengers are still talking about what happened, still posting updates. The university students are treating it like entertainment. The business travelers are discussing potential lawsuits. The VP's wife is on her third call with airline executives. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has a recording, but there's also a mood of support for Isla. Passengers keep approaching her, offering encouragement, telling her she handled it professionally, telling her the captain was completely out of line, telling her they're all witnesses if she needs them. Isla thanks each person graciously, maintains her professional composure, but inside she's processing the magnitude of what just happened. Her career could have been destroyed by Daniel's threats. Instead, his career just destroyed itself in front of 180 witnesses, with 47 video recordings as evidence. The A320 crosses the threshold, touches down on Auckland's runway 05L at 2:47 p.m. Smooth landing. Daniel's flying skills remain intact, even if his judgment is shattered. The aircraft taxis to Gate 6, parks, shutdown checklist. James runs through every item. Daniel responds mechanically. No conversation beyond necessary callouts. The seatbelt sign goes off. Passengers stand, gather belongings. But something unusual happens. As they deplane, nearly every passenger stops to speak to Isla, to thank her for her professionalism, to express support, to offer contact information if she needs witnesses. The woman from 3A turns out she's an employment lawyer, gives Isla her business card, tells her if the airline doesn't handle this properly, call her, pro bono. The businessman from 7D has already sent his recording to 3 news outlets. 2 have replied asking for interviews. He tells Isla he's happy to speak publicly about what he witnessed. The VP's wife stops last, introduces herself properly, tells Isla that her husband has already initiated a formal investigation. Daniel will be terminated, guaranteed, and the airline will be reviewing all intercom systems across the fleet. What happened today won't happen again. The university students start chanting as they exit, "Isla, Isla, Isla." She blushes, waves them off, but they're genuine in their appreciation. They witnessed someone being bullied by authority. They saw her maintain professionalism despite abuse. They respect that. Within 15 minutes, the cabin is empty. Isla, Sophie, and Marcus conduct the post-flight check. Secure the galley, prepare the cabin for the cleaning crew. Isla works methodically, but her tablet keeps buzzing. Messages, emails, notifications. The airline CEO wants to speak with her. The union representative is calling. Media outlets are requesting interviews. She turns the tablet off. One thing at a time. In the operations office, Daniel exits the aircraft. Two airline supervisors are waiting at the gate. They don't speak, just escort him directly to a private office. The chief pilot is already there, so is an HR director and the company's legal counsel. The chief pilot's words are brief and direct. Daniel is suspended immediately pending investigation. He is to surrender his license temporarily. He is not to contact any crew members from Flight 678. He is not to speak to media. A formal hearing will be scheduled within 48 hours, but given the evidence, 180 witnesses, 47 recordings, clear policy violations, the outcome is predetermined. Daniel tries to explain. The intercom malfunction wasn't his fault. The flight attendant was being difficult. He was stressed. The turbulence, the constant interruptions. He didn't know passengers could hear. The legal counsel cuts him off. Tells him the intercom malfunction doesn't excuse his words, his threats, his abuse. Even in private cockpit communication, that behavior violates company policy. The fact that passengers heard it just made it public, but it was unacceptable either way. Daniel goes silent, realizes there's no defense, no explanation that matters. He threatened to fire someone for doing her job, called her worthless, demanded her silence, all because she reported legitimate safety concerns, and 180 people heard him do it. 3 hours after landing, the story is international news. Qantas pilot's hot mic meltdown goes viral, appears on CNN, BBC, Australian Broadcasting Corporation, and every major news outlet across the Pacific. The most shared video has been viewed 2.4 million times. The hashtag Flight 678 is trending worldwide. Late-night talk shows pick it up. Comedians make jokes. Aviation safety experts are interviewed. Everyone has an opinion about the pilot who forgot his intercom was on. But the story isn't just about Daniel, it's about Isla. She becomes the face of professionalism under pressure. Flight attendant remains calm. During captain's abusive tirade, headlines praise her composure. Interviews with passengers describe her grace and dignity. The lawyer from 3A goes on television calling her a model of workplace professionalism. The airline issues a statement within 6 hours. Captain Daniel Cooper has been terminated effective immediately. His actions violated company policy and professional standards. The airline apologizes to senior flight attendant Isla Bennett and commends her professionalism. All intercom systems will be inspected and upgraded. Additional crew resource management training will be mandated. The statement is unusually strong. Usually airlines hedge. Use passive language. Protect pilots. Not this time. The evidence is too clear. The recording's too damning. The public opinion too united. Daniel's termination letter arrives via courier that evening. 26 years of service. Gone. Pension reduced, license under review by Civil Aviation Authority, professional reputation destroyed, all because of 3 minutes of verbal abuse broadcast accidentally to 180 passengers. 4 months later, Daniel Cooper sits in a small apartment in suburban Melbourne, unemployed. His pilot license was not revoked by the Aviation Authority. His technical flying skills were never the issue, but no airline will hire him. His background check includes the Flight 678 incident, the viral videos, the global news coverage. HR departments see his name and immediately reject his application. He tried regional airlines, cargo companies, charter services. No one wants the liability. No one wants the pilot who verbally abused crew on a hot mic. The PR risk is too high. His marriage ended. The stress, the shame, the financial pressure. His wife couldn't handle the public attention, the neighbors knowing, the whispers in the grocery store. She filed for divorce 8 weeks after the incident. Daniel tried to explain in interviews, tried to rebuild his reputation, but every interview ended the same way. The journalist would play one of the recordings, his voice, his words. "Stay silent or I'll have you fired. You're worthless." And there was no coming back from that. No explanation sufficient. No redemption possible. He works now as a customer service representative for an auto parts company. 48 years old, 26 years of flying experience, answering phones about oil filters and brake pads. The job application didn't ask about viral videos. His aviation career is over, permanently. Senior flight attendant Isla Bennett received a promotion to lead cabin crew trainer within 6 weeks of the incident. The airline recognized that her textbook professionalism under stress made her the ideal person to train others. She now conducts workshops on handling difficult situations, maintaining composure, and following safety protocols regardless of pressure from authority. Her training program includes a section called When Authority is Wrong that specifically addresses what to do when captains violate procedure or policy. She uses Flight 678 as a case study, not to shame Daniel, but to teach crew members that following proper procedure is always correct, even when captains disagree, even when threatened, even when pressured. Isla also works with the airline safety committee, reviews reports, analyzes crew feedback, identifies patterns of problematic behavior before they escalate. The intercom system was redesigned across the entire fleet. Multiple redundant indicators now alert pilots when the PA system is active. The fault that caused Flight 678's broadcast cannot happen again. She received the airline's highest honor, the Golden Plover Award for Exceptional Service. The ceremony was attended by the CEO, the VP of Operations and his wife, and 42 passengers from Flight 678 who specifically requested to be there. The university rugby team sent a giant card signed by all 37 members. The lawyer from Seat 3A became Isla's pro bono legal counsel. Not because Isla sued, she didn't, but because the lawyer wanted to ensure the airline treated her fairly throughout the process. They've become friends, have coffee monthly. The lawyer calls Isla her hero of workplace dignity. First Officer James was interviewed extensively during the investigation. His testimony supported Isla's account completely, confirmed Daniel's hostile behavior, confirmed the intercom malfunction. James was commended for his honesty and professionalism. He's still flying, works well with crews, learned from Flight 678 that staying silent in the face of abuse isn't professional, it's complicit. The 47 recordings of Daniel's tirade are used in aviation training programs worldwide, not just for airline crew, for pilots, in cockpit resource management courses, in leadership training, as an example of what happens when authority forgets accountability, when power forgets respect, when someone assumes their words are private when they're actually public. The most viewed video, the businessman from 7D's recording, has been seen 8.7 million times. Comments number in the hundreds of thousands, almost all supporting Isla, almost all condemning Daniel. The phrase hot mic meltdown has entered aviation slang, and the intercom manufacturer redesigned their entire product line. Added multiple safeguards, created a hot mic prevention protocol now standard across the industry. Flight 678 changed aviation equipment design. Words matter, always. Daniel Cooper thought his cockpit was private, thought his words were contained, thought he could threaten and belittle without consequence. He forgot the fundamental rule: assume everything you say can and will be heard. His exact words: "Stay silent or I'll have you fired. You're worthless." Those words destroyed him, not because of technical failure, but because they revealed who he was, how he treated people, how he viewed crew members as subordinates rather than colleagues. The intercom malfunction didn't create the problem, it just exposed it. Isla Bennett could have stayed silent, could have accepted the abuse, could have been intimidated into compliance. Many crew members would have been, but she knew her job, knew her procedures, knew she was right. And she had the strength to stand firm even when threatened by authority. She won because she was professional when he was hostile, calm when he was explosive, right when he was wrong. Somewhere right now, someone in authority is abusing their position. bullying subordinates, assuming their words won't be documented, won't be recorded, won't have consequences, and somewhere someone is recording, documenting, preparing evidence. Technology has made privacy fragile. Microphones are everywhere. Cameras are everywhere. Recordings happen constantly. The assumption of private communication is an illusion. Daniel Cooper learned that at 33,000 feet, 180 witnesses, 47 recordings, global viral coverage, career destroyed, all because he forgot to check if his intercom was off. The lesson is simple. Speak as if everyone is listening, because eventually they will be, and treat people with dignity, because someday the entire world might be watching. Flight 678 proved that, permanently.